Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a story that absolutely proves the melody of our dreams doesn't ever really have to end, no matter what stage of life we happen to find ourselves in. We're going to explore the fascinating, vibrant, and honestly incredibly prolific world of an artist who kept her creative spirit waiting in the wings for literally decades, only to let it burst forth at a time when most people are starting to slow down. I want you to really think about that for a second. Is it ever too late to become who you were meant to be? We all have deferred dreams, right? Maybe it's a novel you've been outlining in your head for years, a language you've always wanted to learn, or an instrument that's just gathering dust in the corner of your room. Society often tells us that if we haven't chased these passions by a certain age, well, the window has closed. But the source material we are unpacking today completely shatters that whole narrative. Meet Bella Ifra Gabrielov. For 35 years, her entire world was defined by rigid logic. She holds a master's degree in mathematics and spent over 3 decades working in the highly structured, intensely analytical world of programming. But when she finally reached retirement, she didn't just pick up a casual hobby like golfing or gardening to pass the time. No way. She triggered a massive creative explosion, transforming herself into a prolific poet, a painter, a puppeteer, and a singer. Section 1: Bella's Late Bloom. Let's just take a second to look at the sheer scale of this creative reinvention. Think about it. For 3.5 decades, her life was governed by absolute rules. Mathematics and programming leave zero room for ambiguity. You're living in a world of strictly correct and incorrect answers. But then, look at the reality of her retirement. She threw herself entirely into the highly emotional, completely subjective, and wonderfully whimsical world of the arts. She didn't slowly test the waters either. She dove headfirst into oil painting, singing, and even writing and crafting her very own puppet show. And listen, she didn't just dabble. 51. Since December 2014, Bella has published a staggering 51 digital books on the platform Arbooks. These aren't just little pamphlets. They are packed with her original Hebrew poems and beautifully illustrated with her own soft, pastel artworks and oil canvas paintings. It really represents this breathtaking outpouring of ideas that had seemingly been bottled up for decades, just waiting for the exact right moment to finally be released. Plus, her YouTube channel is essentially this vibrant digital canvas of her life, packed with 70 videos. We're talking original songs she's composed, written, and sung herself. There are intricate puppet shows, full theatrical plays exploring historical figures like Donna Gracia, showcases of her stunning oil paintings, and even a quick video on the easiest way to clean a pomegranate. It's a pure, unfiltered celebration of absolutely everything she loves to do. Moving right along to Section 2, a world of colors and imagination. Let's step inside Bella's art and explore this vivid inner world of hers. So here's another question for you, inspired directly out of her poetry. Is it ever too late to play with dolls? It kind of sounds like a question for a kid, doesn't it? But Bella handles this with such a warm, playful tone that it challenges our adult sensibilities and really invites us to reclaim the simple, raw joys of imagination. In her poem titled Playing with Dolls, she enthusiastically writes, "I play with dolls. I am enthusiastic about dolls. I love dolls very much." She explains that, as a kid, she didn't actually have store-bought dolls. She had to make them herself from summer flowers and winter rags. Now, as a mother and a grandmother, she unapologetically continues to create dolls, sew their clothes, and use them to put on full theatrical productions. She is playfully reclaiming a piece of childhood she felt she missed out on and turning it into this rich artistic pursuit. She also animates the world around her in really clever ways. Take this brilliant dialogue poem where she imagines a lively debate between the colors purple and yellow. Purple represents priesthood, mystery, and striving for higher spiritual goals. Yellow, on the flip side, is the sun, pure joy, ruling power, and the search for new worldly stimuli. They argue over their opposing philosophies of life before finally realizing that if they unite, they can create something truly beautiful, the pansy flower. It's just a fantastic metaphor for blending logic and emotion. Section 3: Roots, Faith, and Homeland. Going beyond the whimsical stuff, let's examine the deep faith in her poetry and her intense connection to the landscape of Israel. You see, very specific historical and modern events directly shape her poetic narratives. Her work spans centuries of history. For instance, in her poem, The Binding of Isaac, she connects ancient biblical sacrifice all the way to the Inquisition and the Holocaust. Looking at more modern geopolitical events without taking sides, we see she writes emotionally about the 2005 disengagement from Gush Katif in her poem Hope, comparing the displaced to an ancient oak tree clinging to its roots. And in The Wild Imagination, she tackles the harsh modern reality of rocket fire and tunnels. Her surroundings, both past and present, clearly fuel her pen and her paintbrushes. Through all of this, her art constantly returns to an unwavering, highly emotional connection to the physical landscape. In her poem Praise to My Land, she writes, "My little land, I will sing your praise. To me you are dearer than all lands." She writes so vividly about the Galilee, the Hermon Mountains, the Mediterranean Sea, and the silent, stunning beauty of Jerusalem at twilight. It's a profound expression of gratitude for the place she calls home. Section 4. A Mother's Love and Family. Let's bring the narrative back to the intimate and explore the complex realities of family in Bella's art. Bella's writings are just incredibly vulnerable, like in the poem titled A Gift from Mother, where she says, "The most beautiful gift is you, my mother." She explores this profound gratitude for the life and love her mother gave her. But you know, that deep love also opens the door to sorrow. In another piece called Yearning, she writes movingly about the heartache of watching her mother devotedly care for her ailing father for years, and the intense, heavy grief of his eventual passing. Her poetry refuses to shy away from life's heavy burdens. She writes honestly about the agonizing confusion of trying to guide a struggling, rebellious child who has lost his way. She even reflects on the heavy psychological price she paid for demanding early independence as a young woman. But through all of this pain, she consistently returns to the theme of the changing seasons. She reminds us that after a freezing, difficult winter, spring will always arrive to bring the birds and the blooming flowers back. Now, let's tie all these threads together. Section 5, The Dream That Never Ends. This is really her ultimate message about perseverance. In her beautifully vulnerable poem, The Melody of Dreams, she literally wrestles with the ticking of the clock. She asks if her time has passed, if her artistic wings are just too heavy with tears to fly. But she concludes with this absolutely powerful, emotive resolve. "Maybe I will throw them off me, but I will not cast them away yet. My dream is not yet over." She flat out refuses to let go. She dreams of her words being set to music, of flying above the gray houses on the wings of her songs. And as we've seen through her 51 books and 70 videos, she did exactly that. So, the biggest takeaway from Bella's incredible journey is simply this: it is never too late. Seriously, what dreams have you put on hold? What passions have you kept hidden away because you thought your logic-driven career, your age, or your life circumstances told you the window had closed? Bella Ifra Gabrielov proves that the canvas is always waiting, the stage is always set, and the melody of your dreams is just waiting for you to finally start singing.